I came to, and Barb was standing over me, and she said, "I called for an ambulance." I remember saying, "Well, why? I'm fine. I'm just tired." I retired at the age of 57. Barb followed me a year later, and so we were both retired in our late 50s.
When he retired, he was young enough to do whatever pretty much he wanted to do, and that's what he did.
My grandpa was a funny guy. He always was active with us kids growing up, playing different board games, playing outside, coming to our sporting events. He's always super supportive of everything we always did, whether it be on the court or in school.
And I really didn't see too much of a change until maybe the last year, 6 months, and we both thought we were getting older, and so being a little bit less active, being a little bit more tired, just seemed to be a natural progression of things as you aged.
All of a sudden I got very, very, very tired. And I said to Barb, "I think I have to lay down." I laid down on the bed and passed out. Just passed out.
There was a very loud rattle, and it went right down his chest. And every time he would inhale, it was fine. When he'd exhale, that rattle would be there. And he does snore, so I thought, well, maybe that's just it. So I went back to the kitchen, and he kept doing it, and I thought, no, that's not right. So I went back in, and I called his name, and I shook him a little bit, and he didn't respond. So I thought, okay, better to err on the side of caution. So I was going to call 911, and I don't know why people are afraid to do that. But if you're in doubt, call 911. It's better to call them and not need them than it is to wait.
I recall being wheeled into the cath lab, and there were probably 4 or maybe 5 people in the room, including a physician. It happened to be Dr. Escala, as I found out. He's a cardiac interventionist, and apparently that's what he does.
Indeed, there was an acute heart attack. We call it acute myocardial infarction. And didn't take us minutes before we directed him to the catheterization laboratory to find out the problem and take care of it.
And the doctor inserted a stent. And when he inserted the stent, the blockage, which obviously was the problem, part of it disappeared. And then he asked for another stent, and more of it disappeared. And then he said, "I'd like a third stent." And he popped the third one in there, and pretty soon I could see the blood flowing. Now that was the main artery. I think they call it the circumflex, as I found out later. And that was pretty well blocked from what I could tell looking at it. I mean, I had a real problem.
I remember thinking when I went in before the surgery and I came out, and at that point I thought, well, you hope for the best and you expect the best, but realistically you could be a widow by the end of the day. And I didn't really want to go there, but it was one of those things I had to think about and to process.
No, his case was different. So when I took pictures to his arteries, I find the blockages in all the arteries. Now that is very serious. But one of the arteries was 100% closed. If you wait until the patient go to surgery, we said the earlier you open the blocked artery, the better off the patient will be. So I stented this very large artery in his case that was causing the heart attack only as a bridge to have the surgery and fix everything.
So I ended up with 5 bypasses after the 3 stents, which is quite a bit. Then, of course, I was in the cardiac care unit for several days, and eventually went to the medical floors.
Well, the first time I saw him, he asked me if I could bring him a beer, and he was in the ICU. And I said, I don't think so. Not sure that flies with all the medicine you're taking, but he definitely, through the whole experience, never lost his sense of humor, and he appreciates that everybody supported him so much and took really good care of him. My grandma is a godsend. I can't believe he was so lucky that she was there.
It was not a day I care to repeat, but it ended well for us, and we're grateful for that.
So I said, thank you, Dr. Pascal. I really appreciate it. And he says, Don, you don't need to thank me. I said, oh, yes, I really need to thank you. He said, no, you better thank the Lord. He said, God has kept you alive. He says, you had a very serious problem, but he kept you going. And he says, you better thank him. It ended well. I'm doing very well. We're having a great time. My wife and I enjoy each other. And the family has been very, very helpful. And I'm extremely grateful to the medical staff and the physicians at the Marshfield Clinic Health System.
He's always been somebody that likes to do for other people or do things to help. But I've noticed he does that more now. Right now he likes to be at the hospital at the volunteer desk when he can to help people find their way or whatever.
We just enjoy every day because Barb could have been a widow, but she's not.